Hello, folks. Thank you for joining in the next 2 minutes. In the menu, please confirm is our audio clear? Hear us? Okay, great then. Your audio is choppy. Okay, we'll try connected with. Is it any better?
Yes, dramatically better now for me.
Great. All right. Awesome. We're just going to start within the next 1 minute because, guys, we have a lot to cover. So, in the interest of time, we'll just start uh, in the next minute or so. In the meantime, if you have any specific thing that we should cover, like any specific area where you feel you are stuck in LinkedIn outreach or you want more clarity on, I'll try to cover that part in detail. Otherwise, we are all set to start the presentation. All right, cool then. I'm going to share my screen. All right, folks, thank you for joining in today. So, the topic of the discussion is how to book meetings with engineering leaders and CTOs using intent signals. So, this is going to be a LinkedIn outreach playbook. Just some housekeeping items. Get caffeinated because we have a lot to unpack in the next 60 minutes or so. For best live experience, I hope you're tuning in from your desktop and feel free to reach out to me via email or LinkedIn after this webinar is over in case you have any unanswered questions. So I'll just do a quick round of intro. So as far as I'm concerned, my last stint, I was working in B2B SaaS, where I was responsible for generating net new opportunities via email and LinkedIn cold outbound. So naturally, this topic is very close to my heart. As far as my current role is concerned at Rio, it is basically to reverse engineer what works in developer marketing. So what that means is I spend my days studying the GTM playbooks of all our customers and even some other successful dev tool companies. And then I turn those insights into content like this webinar, which hopefully will be valuable for you guys. And I'll just allow Aditya to introduce himself as well by unmuting. He's going to be the moderator for today.
Hey guys, this is Aditya. I lead product marketing at Rio.dev. I have Angad with me. Angad's the main man, like he said, he's going to be running this entire show. Any questions at any point, drop them into the chat, and I'll try and answer some of them as we go async in chat itself. And we'll take a couple of pauses during the presentation to take a couple of more questions, and then we'll cover all the rest at the end. Yeah. So good. Let's get going. I hope everyone's video and audios, on the video and audios, the lag is settled down. And yep, let us know if anything breaks down. Happy to help. Angad,
Cool.
over to you.
Yeah. So before I begin, for the skeptical folks, because there will be some of you here who are wondering why should I invest my precious hour listening to you on this topic? And don't worry, I'm not judging at all because if I was in your shoes attending this, I would need some proof too. So, why listen to us? Over the past month, me and my team have distilled our learnings from 100 plus developer focused companies, which are all of our customers at Rio.dev. And we've spent our time uncovering what makes it work for the most successful companies when it comes to LinkedIn outreach and what are the most common mistakes that people generally make. And by the way, these are some of the logos that we have. Really happy to have them here and also join us live in today's webinar. And now, if some of you are wondering, okay, maybe you know a thing or two about DevTools, but what about your own outbound? So our own outbound process at Rio, we follow the same fundamentals that I'm going to teach you in the next 60 minutes. And our outbound team is able to book meetings with roughly 20% of the accounts we reach out to. So that's almost one out of every six accounts that we target, we are able to book a successful meeting. And full disclosure, this is a multi-channel outreach that we do via email, LinkedIn, and paid ads, but most of it is via email and LinkedIn outbound. And all the steps and messaging frameworks that we are going to share is the same. That puts us in the top percentile for any outbound benchmarks you'll compare us to. And every other week, our SDR team generally get responses like, "This is the first cold outbound I'm responding to. I think you nailed the problem in messaging." And just to show you that I'm not bluffing, these are some of the responses I was able to collect in the last month. So I'll just read it out. Piyush from Sales Guys, this is a legit outbound email. Bravo. Side note, really great value proposition, and thank you for targeting us in a personalized way. Congrats. I only respond to a few of these in a year. This sounds interesting and like to learn more for sure. Great outbound email. Definitely interesting. Can you send me a recording materials about how this works? This email was best in class. Thanks for taking the extra care. How do some people even end up asking, how do you send these emails? It's a good email. It's a good cold outbound. First of all, compliments on this outreach email. And yeah, we get a ton of these as well. It was very effective. Share a couple of more of your outreach templates. So people want templates from us as well, but I'll come to that later. But templates from another company won't work for your situation. So yeah, I hope you are convinced. So let's get rolling. Here's the agenda. I'm going to cover the 6-step LinkedIn outbound framework that gets meeting booked. And in the end, for the folks who stay live, we have an offer worth $300. And trust me, it is valuable. So you want to stick around for it. And then in the remaining time that we have, I'll open the floor for questions. So here is what we have. The step one will be about optimizing your LinkedIn profile. Basically, don't look like every other SDR or AE on the platform. The step two is target account list. So this is where the signs of which accounts should you actually prospect in that given week. The third step is account research. Like, how do you go about actually researching for your accounts? And the answer is you don't do account research for individual accounts. You find the patterns. Then the next step is naturally when you have your target accounts and you have done your research, which are the buyers that you have to target, and some nuances it comes when you are reaching out on LinkedIn. Then the step five is the most meaty one, where we are going to share our own playbook and also one of our most successful customers with LinkedIn Outbound, which is unstructured. So we are going to share all the messaging examples and the first principles that you guys can take and apply it to your own situation. And lastly, I'll briefly touch a bit about LinkedIn automations, where how can you turn your LinkedIn outreach on autopilot. So first step, optimize your LinkedIn profile. So guys, this is table stakes. If you would have read all the other LinkedIn outreach playbooks, everyone discusses this. So there's already a mountain of content. No need to reinvent the wheel for me. I'll share this optimization cheat sheet with you guys. But to put it simply, whatever LinkedIn as a platform gives you to update your profile, do that. It really helps. And here's what you need to keep top of mind. Whenever you send a LinkedIn connection request, these are the two things which are visible to any prospect: your profile photo and headline. So optimize for this. I'll double click on this. Of course, profile photo is very simple. You have to have a clear and professional headshot. As far as your headline is concerned, we have seen most people generally do SDR at their company name, or basically just adding their designation to their headline. And this is a missed opportunity. Like, try using this format where you are going use case specific or what problem your product solves. So for example, helping engineering teams scale faster with automated CI/CD workflows. Now, to add some meat to this, I've put together some examples. So this is from Tim. This is one of our customers. So if you see his headline, effortless Kubernetes management with AI agents. So you understand the value roughly and the problem it solves in a succinct manner. And of course, then he has added his credibility, like he's a 3-time exit founder. So do that. But first, explain what your product does. Another example, which adds a touch of humor here while giving a sense of what the product does. So it's like TidyB is like Postgres and MySQL had a cloud native baby. I babysit. And another example from Iriana, which is helping companies build more reliable bug-free software with AI-powered autonomous testing at antithesis, and then followed by her designation. So this is also a great example of problem first positioning. You understand the value before you even know what antithesis does. Although I would make the cover banner something else, but yeah. And we double click on this because guys, in case it's not obvious, you are our ICP. So I already had bunch of LinkedIn handles with me of SDR and AEs that are working in DevTools. So I wanted to do an experiment because this was a personal rant, if I may call it. To put together these three examples, I had to look at least dozens of LinkedIn profiles, and the results were shocking. So less than 2% of profiles had a headline which either explained the benefit of their product or the problem it solves. 90% of the profiles just had a generic job title. So the bar is really low. If you just put 30 minutes into this, you'll land up in the 2%. So yeah, this is what I have for the step one. It's fairly straightforward. Now moving to step two, which is target account list. Stop fishing in empty ponds, target accounts that are actually ready to buy. So here, the most common mistake most DevTool GTM teams or even other B2B SaaS teams make is they have a master ICP account list, which is great. But the problem comes is when they randomly pick and assign accounts to their sales team based on their territories or industry or expertise, which in itself is not the problem. But there's another crucial step which most teams overlook. And the fix is that you need to have two account lists. One is, of course, your master ICP account list that you have, proxy for your TAM. And the second is a subset of that account list, which is the current in-market accounts, which are factored in by activity signals that you are able to capture. So in an ideal world, this should be the account assignment process where you have your account list that you have built with firmographics and layering in technographics. And this list can be updated monthly, quarterly, or yearly based on your market context. So for instance, if someone only works in Fortune 1000, like only target Fortune 1000 companies, maybe you can update that on an yearly basis. But then this is the second step where you filter in for in-market and sales-ready filters. This is where, of course, Rio.dev customers will be aware that we have a lot of Intel features. And the most common one that people use for this is the dev funnel build and deploy stages, which in simple terms is just a proxy for these are the accounts that are already tinkering with your product deep into your docs and are already maybe most likely trying to build a POC or doing some thorough evaluation. From these filters, you get your subset of target account lists, which are sales ready. And those are the accounts that should be assigned to your sales team. And then, of course, you can layer in your SDR territories that you have. And maybe if you have a multi-product dev tool and some SDRs are have expertise on a specific product, you can layer in those filters. But first, assign the accounts that are in market. This is one of the biggest hacks. And again, double clicking on this, by filtering your master account list with these signals, you get the nice window of opportunity where you're not too soon in your sales outreach, where they're just getting started and evaluating you and not looking to spend any money on a solution yet. And also, you are not too late, where ideally, hopefully not, that they have spent the effort of building a homegrown solution, or maybe they have decided it's not working out for them, or probably gone to a competitor. So that's why timing is very important, and you have to layer in for these signals. Like literally, we really believe strongly on this, and this is what we do at Rio.dev as well. Like half the battle is won if you get this step right, as timing is equally important, if not more, than messaging when it comes to cold outbound, especially on email as well as on LinkedIn. And this is where most mature teams have a great RevOps or GTM engineer muscle, and it's worth investing. If you have this step in place, you are already halfway there. Now that each rep ideally has their target account list ready for prospecting, the next step is account research. So here we say stop researching every account individually. You have to find the patterns. What I mean by that is, rather than doing flimsy personalization, relevance is always more important than just flimsy personalization. Where our main idea is you have to create your account research cohorts where you can write compelling messaging without diluting any relevancy or the message for that specific account. So here, to make it more concrete, these are the must have account research dimensions for DevTools, which is three dimensions: industry, use cases, and company size. The primary reason for that is in Like, let's say fintech teams care more about compliance and audits, while gaming companies might care about latency and performance. So each industry have distinct workflows, regulation, and pain points. So if you segment by those verticals, your outreach can land with immediate context. The second one is use cases, which is the most dominant one, specifically in dev tools. For example, like if you are an API monitoring dev tool, so you can frame it as uptime reliability for SREs versus maybe customer experience protection for product managers. And you have to think through what use cases your dev tool is able to offer and then tie in your account research process. And the third one is, of course, company size, which is like the usual suspects here of SMB, mid market, digital native businesses, and enterprise. So an example on how this will actually manifest is, so for example, you have your sales rep have the accounts assigned to them, and then they see these three tags on their hot accounts, which is enterprise, the industry is fintech, and the use case that they're trying to build is payment transaction reliability. And again, we are taking an example of an API monitoring dev tool here. So how this should inform your messaging is ideally for enterprise, your messaging should highlight compliance, governance, operational efficiency because they care about this, not necessarily speed of setup. And because if we are layering in fintech, so payment downtimes is a disaster for fintech. So it means lost revenue and compliance penalties. So reliability and audibility are top priorities for them. And when it comes to the use case, payment transaction reliability, the customer needs assurance their transaction APIs are resilient with audit ready logs for regulators. So if you put all these three things together, this can really help inform your messaging templates for those bucket of accounts that lie under these filters. And the pro tip here is like our customers use our custom tags feature to do this because it's a proxy for custom signals where you can define your specific doc pages, your commands, website pages to determine what is the use case they are trying to build. Of course, industry and enterprise, those are firmographics data which you get out of the box, and this will get you 90% of the way there. And if you have to think about adding more dimensions, so the way we think is like you have to evaluate the effort versus the reward in adding more complexity into your account research process. And the crucial one here is use cases. Have a heuristic where you can quickly identify the use case based on custom signals that you are tracking, and naturally use this to inform your messaging and to an extent prioritization as well. So now that you know what story to tell, you need to figure out who to tell it to. The step four is all about finding economic buyers and connecting on LinkedIn, like connecting with the people who actually own the budgets. So there are multiple parts to it. And the first strategy that we recommend here is the multi-threading strategy. Because in most DevTool buying cycles, the people with budgets, generally the VPs and directors and CTOs, are often completely detached with the actual product evaluation happening on the ground. And for most dev tools, it might be getting battle tested by 7 engineers while the VP has no clue that evaluation is already in place. So, what does this mean for your LinkedIn outreach strategy? So, here we recommend to take a true pronged approach where the sales team is reaching out and going top down, where they target only the buyers on LinkedIn and focus on decision makers with budget authority. And of course, these are high intent accounts. So that's why you're reaching out to the buyer, because the timing factor also comes into play here. And their main focus and KRA is to book meeting and move the deal forward. uh, Simultaneously, in your hot accounts, there will be a lot of active developers. So usually in teams, most of the teams have set up where their DevRel and marketing get involved and they go bottoms up to nurture those developers. And the ideal scenario is they are turning those developers into internal champions. So there's another nuance to this. For example, if you're targeting big accounts where there are multiple buyers, so how do you think through the prioritization framework? So the first is the most obvious one. If there is a buyer who's already active on your website or docs, so they're already aware of you, so you can prioritize them. The second most DevTool teams make is the geography match, which is naturally if your most of the buyers reside in US or Europe, or let's say if you are from the APAC region, so you'll want to focus on buyers that belong to that region. The third is tech stack first ICP alignment for your dev tool. So for example, if you are an API monitoring dev tool, maybe VP of platform engineering is the most relevant job title to go after. And there's another thing that we recommend here in terms of strategy. Go maximum pick 3 to 5 buyers per account and That too only for very relevant and high ICP accounts who are deep into your evaluation. And in that as well, let's say if there are 17 buyers, this is another strategy which is very effective, that you find the most active devs. So let's say John is the most active dev in a given account. So you go to LinkedIn. If you have Sales Navigator, LinkedIn has great LinkedIn network graph. You can find what are the buyers which are present in rio.dev and also in the network of John, because then you can try to make a warm intro as well or reference that specific developer in your outreach, because that will just be an immediate connection, because most likely the manager or the buyer is of John, who's the most active dev here. Now, another thing that we recommend here is if you want to reach out to multiple buyers at the same time, so split it between LinkedIn and email, where you are reaching out to ABC contacts in the week one, and simultaneously you are engaging the other three buyers via email. And then you can flip those contacts, like rotate and flip it via LinkedIn and email. And generally, don't like this strategy prevents you from burning bridges with over outreach. And how we think about like re-engaging with that account is if something has changed in the status quo, where let's say this new funding or hiring or tech stack updates, then you might want to revisit targeting that account again later down the funnel, if and only if they have not responded to any of your messages yet. Now, the part two is where we are going to shed some light on LinkedIn connection request strategy. So, generally, if your account is very new, we recommend to send 10 to 15 requests per day and gradually increase as your account matures. And in terms of account maturity, things are very simple here. Like, ensure you have a verified LinkedIn profile, optimize for your ICP. Like in step one, we have already covered the cheat sheet, which I'll share with you. Optimize your profile, headline. If you have a LinkedIn Sales Navigator subscription or even LinkedIn Premium, so there LinkedIn is more generous with the connection request limits. That's what we have seen. And of course, you post content, like that's a cherry on the top, because that is something that LinkedIn algorithm loves. And lastly, this is another thing that we guys do as well. So if you have reached out to a lot of folks and they haven't accepted your connection request for let's say a month, so we generally withdraw those connection requests, because LinkedIn also tracks the connection request sent to acceptance ratio. And if your numbers are very low there, then generally you would want to withdraw those connection requests. Now, part three is where we part ways with some conventional LinkedIn outreach wisdom. The first step being we completely ignore our in-mail credits and we don't send in-mail messages. The primary reason for this is we have A/B tested this and it does not work for our audience. And do we prescribe this for everyone? No. The answer is simple here. Experiment and see if it works for you. Although LinkedIn in-mails are not getting a lot of love recently because they have introduced a focused and other inbox, as you can see in the screenshot. And generally, like our thesis is when someone receives an in-mail message, just by the looks of it, they are not very receptive because it kinds of reeks of a sales message, although you are reaching out to them, but we generally avoid in-mail credits. So test it for yourself and see if it works for you. Otherwise, we won't recommend this. The second thing is we like blank connection request work best for us, because the reason is simple. 300 character limit isn't enough for a value prop. Our acceptance range is higher without notes, and we have also A/B tested this. Anything under 300 characters just isn't compelling enough for a messaging. The third thing is like this is a new one where a lot of people are doing automated AI engagement, but we don't do that because we don't want to engage with our prospects for the sake of engaging. Only if we find something relevant and meaningful to add, only then we engage with them. So the common theme here in all these three things is don't hold anything as gospel when it comes to LinkedIn outreach. Like seek the truth for yourself, do rapid experimentation. The LinkedIn automation tools are really great here, which can help you with this. Apply what works, discard what doesn't. Now, the part four, this is again a very important step where these are the key metrics to track for LinkedIn outreach. So we have a proper dashboard setup for all our SDRs where we track the daily and weekly connection request send volume, the percentage request accepted, positive response to acceptance, meeting booked to positive response, and lastly, the conversion of like actually them becoming the customer from our meetings booked. Now, the advantage of doing this is like first of all, this investing in the dashboard has been tremendous for us because It gives us a complete overview of how our funnel is performing, what's working and what's not. And this also informs our experimentation on the highest leverage points. For instance, initially when we analyzed our data, we identified that increasing the first positive response to acceptance had the highest impact on our bottom line revenue. Because as far as our other metrics were concerned, we were already above industry benchmarks. And these are the benchmarks we refer to for LinkedIn. Feel free to take a screenshot. Otherwise, this will also be shared after the webinar is done. And I've also linked the sources, but this informs you, let's say if your request acceptance rate is already in the below average category, then you know that your profiles are not optimized or like from whichever handles you are doing the prospecting. And if your response rate, like positive response rate is very low, then you know that you need to really hone down on your first message. So investing in this dashboard really comes through here. So now let's talk about what to actually say when they accept your request. And hint, it's not thanks for connecting. Let me tell you about our amazing platform. So this is the most meaty step, but I would like to take a pause here and just see if there are any specific questions that we have here, Aditya. Otherwise, I can.
Hey, just the one question on how you created the dashboard.
All right. So, firstly, on this, like there are a lot of LinkedIn automation tools like La Growth Machine, which gives you this data if you are running through all the campaigns with that. And second, again, we have a GTM engineer here. And the other hack that we have done is we create a Google form that all our SDRs fill up every day after doing their prospecting, where they have to mention what are the responses that they have received. And from that data, our GTM engineer create these dashboards. And secondly, we also use some LinkedIn automation tools. So that also gives you this data out of the box. So I hope that answers the question. If there's anything else, otherwise I can continue.
Just answering that question, the request data is a combination of something we do on La Growth Machine plus our GTM engineer doing some automation, plus our SDRs also fill a form with their acceptances sent out, acceptance rates, and connection rates, everything every day, which we collect that data manually and we compile all this together to build
Yeah,
those dashboards.
yeah. Because we still have some manual process in our outreach. Our LinkedIn outreach is not completely automated. Otherwise, whatever LinkedIn automation tool you're using, this will give you like you will have this already in place. But yeah, now guys, this is the most exciting step for me personally. So I'm going to cover our own outreach process first, and then I'm going to also share unstructured one, and then we'll distill down the first principles that you can learn from that and then apply it to your own situation. Now, if you've done step 3, which was the account research properly, you should have your cohorts ready to power your personalized messaging. But there's still an art to this, and that is what we're going to uncover. So the first part is, of course, nailing your first LinkedIn message. And here's our actual message template for one of our own company cohorts.
Hey, Angad, you're not sharing your screen.
Oh, my bad. Give me a second. Yeah. Visible? Is it visible, Aditya?
Yeah, go ahead.
Great. So this is the first message. I'm just going to read it out and then I'll break it down in terms of what is working here. So, hi, first name. Thank you for connecting. I'm the co-founder CEO of Rio.dev, an intent platform for DevTool companies. Would it help if you knew which companies and developers are evaluating? And here we add their company name, which is the variable, or competitive solutions like PenPod, AppSmith, Tooljet, etc. in incognito. Also, which companies developers are reading your docs, signing up with GitHub, Google, or struggling with UI speed and consistency and might like your company name, which is again the variable here. And then we talk a little bit about we tried data sources like Slack, LinkedIn, Reddit, GitHub, yada yada yada, basically all the sources that we are able to capture. And then the soft CTA is of please let me know if this is interesting or if you like to know more. Now let me break it down in terms of first, use the first name, obvious, but people still mess this up. So that's the first thing. Second, which is an optional step here, we do this where we introduce ourselves and embrace brevity here, where we are not introducing about the company because this is from the founder's handle. So it just adds more credibility, is what we have seen, because people are more receptive from receiving messages from founders. And then we just add an intent platform for DevTool companies, which immediately gives them why this message can be relevant for them. The second thing is always lead with value prop that hits their pain point. So in our case, the industry-wide problem of DevTools is struggling with the black box evaluation, where they don't have the proper intent signals on who is actually using their product. So the first two paragraphs or the first two sentences is all about them and their world. Then the fourth thing here is be smart with word choice. So if you see, we have framed it like, would it help if you knew, instead of assuming they have the problem. This just makes the message friendly and approachable rather than coming across as presumptuous. And also, we try to evoke some curiosity in our prospect's mind by adding the word in incognito, as that makes them wonder how you bringing this intent signals, because it's not the actual screen secret sauce of our tool, but because of just adding in incognito, most of the folks actually wonder where are you getting this intel from. And again, the first one to two sentences should not talk about how great you are, because we have seen this mistake time and again with a lot of dev tool companies where the first sentence is just about them. So they don't care about your product. Naturally, people are obsessed about their own problems. So notice we only mention what we do in the third sentence here, where we are talking about how are we able to like just give a glimpse of we are able to track data sources from so many sources. So that's another thing. Lastly here, we always like in our first message we never ask for like let's hop on a quick call, or we share our calendar link. It's always a very soft city of please let me know if this is interesting. The other tactical advantage of framing it like this is, if you would have seen, LinkedIn suggests some auto replies with bubbles at the bottom, and usually in this message it gives like I would be interested or learn more. So the main idea here is basically to reduce the friction for them to respond. Don't ask for let's hop on a quick call or please let me know if this is interesting on the first message itself, and keep it link free. Just iterating on this point. Now, let me share some what does not work examples. And these are the screenshots that I pulled together from Gaurav, who's the CTO of Rio.dev. So these are the bad examples of prospecting that other dev tools have made to us. So the first thing is the obvious one. Like, I don't know why people do this, but here it's like, hey Gaurav, notice you're also an executive in the tech space. Would be great to connect. So don't do flimsy personalization or try to connect without substance, because everyone on LinkedIn by now knows that people sell on LinkedIn, prospect on LinkedIn. Rather than just doing messages like these, be straightforward with your ask instead of force ways to build connection just to eventually follow up with your pitch. So, and again, hitting back on that point where relevance is greater than personalization like this. Second here is again same example where this guy is following up without any clear value. It's like, hi Gaurav, thanks for connecting. Since 2017, we helped CIOs streamlining sourcing and accelerating digital transformation, and basically raving about their product. And I asked Gaurav, like, were there anywhere close in terms of like, were we actually facing this problem? So he said no, like this was a clueless message in his eyes. The third one is prospecting someone already in touch with your team. So this is a kind of a funny one where in the right, if you see, Gaurav shared this on Slack where he has written trying to prospect CTO using the video we shared, though I am already talking to her team. And let me break down the message here. The first message that he received was again flimsy personalization, like, hey Gaurav, happy to connect with data professional like yourself and expand my network. Have a great day at work. Eventually the person followed up, so the context is we had made a funny video campaign, and she engaged with that post and then she followed up with her pitch. The message was, hey Gaurav, I wasn't even going to bug you, but that video cracked me up so hard that I had just had to go ahead and say something. First, great freaking marketing, I honestly wish we were this creative. And then eventually she followed up with, why on earth are we not working together on data already? As a founder with a CTO background, we would love to node out on data with you to show how we can become your best data source. Would you be open to speak with a co-founder on it? And again, the we had a good chuckle about this internally, but Gaurav was already in touch with someone from our team, and this again is a very bad example of how you should not prospect CTOs. Then another one, this is also very common, where people just bluntly make hard CTS asking for calls before any sign of interest. So we are very, we have a very extremist view on this. Never ever will you find us in our outreach where we are sharing a meeting link in the first message itself without the prospect showing any sign of interest or responding to us positively. Then again, this is a funny one where folks are barking up the wrong tree, where these are the two specific messages for DevTool pitches that I have received. And I am a product marketer at Rio.dev. So I have nothing to do with the problem or messaging they are laying out. And even these, in both of these example, if you see the CTA in the right one, it's would you be open to chat about how SpiceDB can help your org? I forgot to blur the company name. So yep. But yeah, these are again some bad examples here. And this again is a side note for all our Rio.dev customers. Please don't mention specific activity signals directly in your message, because we have seen some of our customers writing, "Hey, we saw you forking our repo." So that's creepy, and you have to use those signals to determine timing and not as the actual message content. And if let's say you are using the competitor GitHub's data to target top of the funnel developers, be smart about it. Like this is a good example from one of our customers, QCreate. So he has framed it like, based on your profile, I'm taking a gamble that you work with K8s, which is the repo he's tracking, but let me know if I'm mistaken. Or another example or spin to this can be, I am taking an educated guess, but let me know if I'm mistaken. This again makes it very non creepy, and you don't risk being presumptuous here again. Like frame it like that, and yeah, you will be in the good here. Now, the next part is the money is in the follow ups, because even if you nail your first messaging, there will always be instances where you are not getting a positive response. So, how do you actually follow up? So, the first strategy here is the lovable strategy, which we use, which is personalized microsites built in 5 minutes. So, I'm going to show you a live example that we have created for one of our prospects, line chain, which we are happy to say are a customer. So in the hero section, if you see, there's a product video and of course their logo and the specific company name we are targeting. And then even in this write-up where the intent signals we are talking about are the specific CLI commands captured from their product docs. And by the way, we have automated this whole account research process now using N10, but that's another story altogether. But this makes it very compelling for the company we are targeting. And then of course there's some more features about our product, and then again we tell them about the intent signals we are able to capture. And even in this example, all the specific company names or data points we mention is relevant to the company we are prospecting here. And then of course the standard, like we talk about our integrations, you build on the social proof, you share some case studies, and then the usual suspects of we are GDPR compliant, SOC 2 compliant, because this is something that matter to our prospects. So this is the landing page we use, and this strategy as a follow up has worked tremendously for us. So here's the message copy we use, like in the left, this is the message. We are building something unique for DevTool companies like Tobico. That's the company we're prospecting in this case. So I prepared a quick one pager for you explaining what we do, how it can be useful for Tobico, a few customer stories, plus a quick product demo. Let me know if you have any questions with the link. And usually we have, first of all, not only booked meetings with our prospects, people have appreciated the strategy and also asked like how can we implement the same thing. And FI, in case you are not aware of this, we had done a webinar on this extract strategy and playbook 3 months back. So if needed, I can also share the link of this. It's uploaded on a YouTube channel. And why this works is, first of all, it shows effort to the prospect, and it is very easy. Like a landing page is a great candidate to communicate visually what you have to offer in a personalized way. And this is very easy to set up for our SDRs. No tech dependency is involved here. We have a lovable prompt and a template which our SDRs use whenever they have to follow up with a prospect, and they just build out a landing page like the one we shared. And of course this creates intrigue for your prospects on what you have put together, because if someone is saying we have created a one pager on how we can help you, most of the folks will be curious and will check out that page. Now the second part to this is the content strategy, which where our main thesis is to enable your sales rep with the right content. So, like reps who struggle, prospects who stall, and content that actually converts. So here also we have three examples, and this is unique to our situation, but understand the underlying principles here and then think on how to apply it to your own situation. So in this case, we shared our customer case study of Kraken, which is in the API and integration space. And why this was relevant was because the prospect that we were reaching out to was also belonging to the same DevTool category. So this is the response that we got as soon as we shared the case study. Hi Gaurav, I have read the case. When are you available for a quick call? I will add my team in the call as well, or you can basically that person share their calendar link. The second example here is sharing relevant proof. So this is like we had created two customer testimonials highlighting why those specific customers switched from Koala to Rio.dev. And for context, Koala is one of were was one of our competitors. Now they have shut down the company, but it was a great product. And yeah, we send this to the prospects who were Koala users and were actively in market evaluating alternatives. So this strategy also worked really well. And this again ties back to the second step of finding your target account list. Like in that given week when Koala shut down and the news broke, our messaging was more or less the same, but that was the highest number of meetings we were able to book with our ICP prospects, all because people were in market looking for a solution. So like high intent, I can't understand like overemphasize on this. It's very important. The third example is educate the prospect. So here in this instance, the prospect was kind of skeptical about how we are actually able to pull together the data. So we shared a how Rio.dev works video and messaged the person. And then that guy was like, looks interesting. Are you available for a quick call early next week? So with this approach, I hope you're probably thinking of ideas on how you can use this in your own outreach with the great content that you have. The best way to act on this is organize your top content pieces and categorize it by ICP and prospect context. So reps knows exactly when to use it. So for example, all our SDRs have a library of content and they know when to pick and plug each specific content piece. So similar to how sales enablement collaterals are created, but just with the lens of LinkedIn follow-up message templates. So your product marketing, technical marketing team, or any content marketing team that you have internally should ideally collaborate with you on this, because SDR in itself already have a lot of hectic job and they are chasing numbers. So if you arm them with the right content and follow-up strategies, it will work wonders for you. Now, again, this is the bonus playbook that we are going to share. And all of this is taken from the podcast that we did with Orlando, which is again on our YouTube channel, and the separate customer story our marketing team did with them. So first, I'll just break down the playbook here. So unstructured has a motion of converting free OSS accounts to enterprise customers. The first step that they do is auto assign accounts to their sales reps based on using the Rio.dev dev funnel intel, and they only target build and deploy stages. So this ties well to our thesis of assign accounts to your sales rep that are in market and are already evaluating you. And then the second step is they reach out to the buyers on LinkedIn, and they also use Meet Alfred as their LinkedIn automation tool for this. And again, the third thing that they do is they follow the multi-threaded strategy where they simultaneously nurture the most active devs with helpful content. The main idea there is to not approach the developers with trying to make a sale. They just nurture them. They have a Slack community as well. So the main idea is to make internal advocates for your most active devs in your hot accounts. And then the fourth thing they also do is they also use Lovable to make microsites and take the build versus buy angle. And I'm just going to share the landing page template. But before that, let me give you context on their first LinkedIn messaging, which is loosely along the lines of, hey name, thank you for using our unstructured open source. You are a valued customer. Here is a landing page that is going to show you your usage. And it's just like a once over on what's going on with the way you are using our product. So now let me show you the actual landing page. So the and by the way, kudos to Unstructured on letting us share this. Like Orlando is great, and the whole team at Unstructured is killing it with their LinkedIn outbound. So this is the template that these guys use. If you see the hero section copy is very simple. Your company is the variable here. Already loves unstructured. Here's the proof. And then they blatantly show all the activity data of that specific account. Like what are the number of active developers? What are the telemetry pings they are doing? What are the Docker installs, top developer locations? And then they also plug the build versus buy angle here, where amount saved on data prep time, and they put a dollar value here. I'll double click on this in the next slide. Then they have a product video on what they basically do, and then they make the pitch of why go paid. Then they have a detailed breakdown of their paid enterprise platform versus their open source. And like I love the copy here as well. Same great co, but way more. Like the marketer inside me appreciated these headlines. And then again, they add a testimonial to build social proof, and again leading with more social proof by stating trusted by 73% of the Fortune 1000. So a great landing page template, but personalized to their own situation. Now, I'll also show you the second follow-up message they send in case they are not able to book a meeting on the first one. Hey name, based on your product usage signals, here's how many, and then assign the number of hours their engineering team is spending using their open source. And then they lead with, we assess your engineers are putting in to try to build your own rat nest, which is equivalent to what is unstructured doing there. Therefore, we have estimated that you're spending this much money value in engineering hours. Would you be interested in discussing this further? And again, if you see here, they're not asking to book a call. A soft CTO, would you be interested in discussing this further? And like they go crazy with this. So once they are able to book a meeting with the buyer for an initial discovery call, they have created internal dashboards specific to that account, where they again show all the developer activity data in much more detail. And then the pitch is very simple, where they are trying to prime the buyers with the reality that the cost of doing this on their own is much higher than switching to the enterprise plan of unstructured. So I'm going to break it down in terms of why this works. First of all, they use our signals to time outreach perfectly. I've already discussed this. Second is it's a very compelling hook which grabs immediate attention and urgency as well. Because most of the buyers that they reach out to don't even know, like these are the responses that they get. I didn't even know this was a problem my devs were trying to solve to begin with. Let's chat. Because most of the buyers are not aware that their engineering team is spending a lot of hours trying to build what unstructured has to offer using their open source. Then again, a personalized landing page which double clicks on this and puts the actual data in front of the user, and they go deep in discovery calls, where this is a much more effective way to communicate than a hypothetical build versus buy ROI calculator, where they double click on helping buyers see the actual cost of maintaining it in-house is far higher compared to simply upgrading to their enterprise plan. And for the GTM tech stack nerds, this is the tech stack that Unstructured uses to power their outreach. Rio for the intent signal, CRM is HubSpot. For LinkedIn automation, they use Meet Alfred. They also use KeyPlay for their ICP account scoring, Apollo for emails, and the dashboard that you see here is built from Microsoft Data Lake and Power BI. And they send this data from using Rio's product API for all the developers. And if just I double click on this, like if you see whatever we have covered so far in terms of the first step of account, like targeting in market accounts, reaching out to buyers, simultaneously nurture the most active devs, address the real pain points of prospects, in this case, which is hidden engineering cost of building a homegrown solution that unstructured uses, personalize with a compelling hook, using lovable to build microsites. And this is just one of the hacks, which is to evoke curiosity and being more effective with your follow-ups, providing immediate value, and always leading with soft CTAs that will help you book meetings. So these are the first principles that we have covered, and unstructured checks all these boxes. So if I have to conclude here, as long as you keep these principles as the foundation to inform your messaging and outreach cadence, you will be in a good place. And that is why a lot of customers ask us for templates, but they will be at best might work for you once, but you know your ICP and pain points better than anybody else. You know how your product attacks those problems and solves for those use cases. And you know what content is worth creating and sharing to move the deal forward in terms of follow-ups. So this is what our recommendation is: always take these principles and apply it to your own situation. Now I'll briefly touch a bit upon LinkedIn automations. Uh, and our approach with automations is always do it manually first and see what works. Experiment till you get it right. Once you have a proper defined process that is able to deliver consistent results, only then to seek to automate it. So, in terms of our account research process, it was manual for quite long. And now we know what are the specific steps we do, and then we have automated it using anything. And we would have loved to use our tool for all the account research. And like my SDRs have said this to me multiple times, that they are envious that we are not a dev tool because our product is so great, but all the use cases are not applicable for our own outreach. But yeah, when you set up any automation, test it diligently to ensure it's not diluting the results or output, and only then take it to production, because you want to amplify processes that are working and not scale the broken ones. And generally, we are a small startup, so we are very pro automations. Like doing more with less is our default notion. So we always seek on how to improve our process. Now, coming to LinkedIn automation, these are primary two main use cases uh, where you can use leverage reuse data into your LinkedIn automations. First is you can bulk sync the buyers, like finding the economic buyers, and send it to your LinkedIn automation tools to send the connection request, as well as emails in case you're using a multi-channel sequence or a multi-channel tool. For example, La Growth Machine and Meet Alfred are multi-channel tools here. And then the second use case is to send the tags data to your LinkedIn automation tool, because they can, uh, like all those tools support custom variables where you can route specific tags if a tag of fintech is present. So you know which cohort of messaging should that account belong to. So you can send tags data to personalize messaging at scale as well. And these are our picks for LinkedIn automation tools. I have already created a proper comparison guide in case you haven't logged down on a vendor, which will be shared after this webinar to explore at your own convenience. So to recap, this is what we have covered: optimizing your LinkedIn profile, targeting account list, which is the main thesis here is to stop fishing in empty ponds, target accounts that are actually in market and most likely primed for your sales outreach. The third step is account research, where create proper cohorts based on company size, industry, and use case. And the fourth step is to find the buyers, reach out to them, uh, make sure you have the proper accounts are warmed up and you are not going overboard with the connection limits. The fifth step is all about messaging. How do you think about it? What are the follow-ups that you should do? And like turning those connections into meetings booked. And the last step is seek for automating the stuff that is already working, because you would want to crank that up. And yeah, be pro automations, because you are able to do a lot more with less resources. Now, in case some of you folks are feeling overwhelmed, it is normal, because it's normal to see gaps in your LinkedIn outbound process. Even the best GTM teams don't start with a perfect setup. It took us nearly 2 years to iterate and arrive at a step where we are basically killing it and at our outbound game. Because, like any other channel, mastering LinkedIn outreach also will take time. And we are still improving, adding automations, testing new ideas, and syncing across teams to make this a collective effort, because success here is always a collective team effort. And that's why I had mentioned in all my promotion comms that it takes a village to dominate LinkedIn outreach. Now I'm just going to wrap up here, because we are here to help you make you successful with your LinkedIn outreach to the best of our abilities. So this webinar was actually a condensed version of a master playbook that includes everything we have discussed so far, with a lot more detailed guides, screenshots, and examples. So it's a 10,000 word playbook that me and my team have been tirelessly working on, and the insights go far beyond what we just covered. And you won't find this content anywhere on the internet. I am sure of that, because I have personally spent at least 50 plus hours reading all the LinkedIn outreach playbooks, and nothing was applicable for dev tools. And most of it is optimized for SEO. So none can come close to this. And to put this into perspective, we were thinking about the pricing model for this, because if we were an agency in the developer marketing space, people would pay for this content because we are unveiling oral secrets. But of course, we are not an agency, And we debated internally, still should we gatekeep and price this, because it's almost a decade worth of experience compiled into this master playbook, and more so because it has our own trade secrets and outbound messaging examples that our competitors can steal, which can of course harm our business. So how much we thought? $100, $500, $1,000. I don't know. Maybe if you are able to book a meeting with a 15K, 20K ACV or 100K, you will still get a 20 to 100x ROI. But to be honest, we had clarity on this from day one. It is going to be free of cost. In the spirit of DevTools, we are open sourcing our playbook, and you can already access it here. It is live. I'll just share the link in the webinar, and you don't have to do any opt-ins for this. And yeah, feel free to share this with your team. Yeah. And I have shared the link. But wait, there's more. As promised in all the pre-webinar comms, we mentioned a $300 worth of gift for folks who will be staying till the end. So we have two offers because broadly this audience is divided between our customers and not our customers. So for customers, we are very committed at Rio to making you successful with our platform and to achieve your desired GTM outcomes. So we really thought through on how we can go above and beyond and help you guys become successful with LinkedIn outbound, as this is an integral part of the GTM strategy for almost all our customers. So based on the 6-step framework that we have covered in this webinar, these are the common customer needs. Of course, we can't own messaging for you guys, but this is where most teams need help, which is finding in market accounts, building a process to find buyers, process setup to assign accounts to your sales team that is happening on an automated basis, creating what are the right tags to create to simplify your account research and give your sales team actionable insights, automate LinkedIn outbound by sending Rio segments and tags data via Zapier or basically any help with the automation. And the common reasons why this wasn't already set up was either lack of time, resources, or expertise with our platform. And in case it's lack of priority, that's where we can't really help, but I hope it becomes one now post this webinar. So here's the offer. You get 2 hours of GTM engineering services worth $300 for free. And this is an actual dollar value here because we offer our pro services for $150 per hour, but we are offering this to all our customers. And I'm just going to share the link on how you can claim this. Yep, you should see it now on your screen. Otherwise, I'll just share the link of the Google form as well on how you can claim this. And yeah, it's a simple Google form. Will just take 2 minutes of your time, where you just need to mention your work email. That will automatically be picked up by Google Forms, your company name, your current CS account manager, and the specific step for which you would like to avail the GTM engineering services. Because it is best advised, like you only pick one or two high priority steps, which are the which where you feel you need the most help to integrate in your LinkedIn outbound flow. And of course, we already have a ongoing CS support and rock solid team. So if you are stuck at any other step, or if you would like to implement the end-to-end flow, you have the playbook, content guides, and otherwise also our CS team will be there to help. Now, offer two for folks who are not our customers. So to put it simply, honestly, I am biased here, but the most compelling offer I can give you is to buy our product if you sell to a technical audience. But still, as you guys stay till the end, so we do have something to offer for you. We have created a DevGTM signals audit and maturity model. So it's a comprehensive take home audit that you can do by yourself that will give you clarity on what are the signals that actually matter and will move the needle for your LinkedIn outbound flows, and how deeply are they currently embedded in your workflows, and if not, what you can do about it. So that's why we have also included a free 30-minute consultative call with our in-house team to get the most out of this audit. And again, I'm going to share the link for this as well in the chat for folks who are not our customers. Okay, I'm not able to locate that. Give me a second. Yeah, I've shared this link in the chat as well. And you'll receive an email as well to claim this offer. And let me actually, I'm done with my screen share. So yeah, so you can claim this offer by just filling out the form, and someone from our team will email you within the next day or so with the audit sheet and the calendar link to book that consultative call. And I know we are almost done with the timing, but still I'm happy to take more questions. So I see one here. When you send a connection, do you include a message or wait until? I guess this is already answered. If not, let me know, Erica, if you need more clarity on this. But yeah, folks, the floor is open for questions. If you have anything, feel free to jump in.
Angad, I think there are a couple of questions. Yosha had one on AI SDRs. I don't think Unstructured uses AI SDRs, right? And we don't either.
Yeah,
You can add to that?
no, Yosha. So we don't use any AI SDRs, but like I said, for our account resource process, we use N10. So that's like an AI agent which is helping us with our account research. But the reach out itself is still manual. Like we see through the messages. So yeah, no AI SDRs for now. I'm interested with your playbook. Can you please share the link? Yeah, I'll just share it again in case you missed it.
There's also a question on the timing for the sharing our landing page, Angad. Like we do the connection and then we send the
Okay, yeah,
message in the
sure.
landing page, right? Anything you can add on timing for that?
Yeah. Our follow-up cadence is generally if we have not received any positive response from a first LinkedIn message, we follow up within 3 to 4 days. So that's the cadence that we have. And simultaneously, we also send cold emails to the same prospect. So if I have to give you the full timeline of the cadence, first we reach out via email. If we haven't received a response via email, after 3 days, we send the first LinkedIn message. And if we haven't received any response on the first LinkedIn message, and also not on the email, then we follow up on LinkedIn after 3 4 days. So I hope that will give you clarity on our timing cadence. Have you tested with LinkedIn first? Sorry, Yosha, can you give me more clarity on that? Like what exactly when it comes to testing with LinkedIn? Instead of email first? Yes, we have actually. So as I said, if we have a high intent account where there are a lot of potential prospects we can reach out to, so generally it could be that for the first three contacts we are reaching out to on LinkedIn, and then in the next week we are reaching out to those same contacts on email. So we have rotated those cadence as well, but generally email works better for us, at least at the first touch point. But LinkedIn and email are still very comparable. Like we are able to almost replicate the same results. Thoughts on cold calling? Again, the other question was also cold calling. So honestly, we haven't experimented with cold calling. The first primary reason for that is we generally get a lot of positive responses on our outreach. So I don't have a lot of expertise here, but some of our customers have cold called and they have been able to book meetings. But the exact strategy or the timing that they use is something that I don't have any data on. But I think even in that channel, if you follow the first principles, you get the timing right, your messaging is very relevant, then I think you'll be still like it's a very high likelihood that you will be able to book a meeting. And to add to that, like some of our customers have pure enterprise motions, so they also host CTO dinners, go to conferences, and all the other multi-channel outreach strategies that come into play to, of course, build an enterprise motion, because the sales cycle is uh, large in that sense. All right. Any other questions for any input on subject lines? It's required in Sales Navigator. So as I said earlier, we don't really dabble in with Sales Navigator in mail messages because it does not work with us. So otherwise, our subject line is fairly straightforward, like 3 to 4 words regarding like who is evaluating you. I would still have to get the exact subject lines. Maybe let me see if I can pull it up in a minute or so. But generally, we don't use in-mail messages. And yeah, folks, like who are still here, if you have any feedback to share for the webinar, because this is one of the first ones that we have done where we are actually breaking down a playbook. So if you want more of this or any thoughts or any constructive feedback you have on how we can make this better, that will be helpful. And in the meantime, I'm trying to find the subject lines. But yeah, I don't see any LinkedIn in-mail messages because we don't really experiment with that. Yeah. Yes, we'll share the recording after, like you'll receive an email for the recording. It will also go live on our YouTube channel. Aditya has already answered it, but yeah. Thank you for the positive feedback, folks. Appreciate it. I see a question that someone had posted, more of a tooling question. So for email, we actually use instantly.ai. We don't use Lagrange machine for sending out emails. Uh, so yeah, I hope that answers your question. And yes, guys, we'll also share the link for the playbook. And like playbook contains everything we have discussed and much more. And you will get the webinar recording most likely in a day or two. It will land in your inbox. Hitting spam filters in email. No, actually, because in the first email we don't add any links. The messaging is like exactly the same of what we follow on LinkedIn, with just one addition of like we are just asking you a question. And usually in terms of hitting spam filters, so we always use warmed up domains, and our volume is like we keep it under the limits. And if we want to scale our outbound email, we have multiple warmed up domains that we have bought from Zapmail, if I'm remembering the name correctly. So that's another tool that we use to buy up the warmed up domains. And we also purchase some domains by ourselves and warm them up using instantly. So that's our email outbound tech stack. And we also verify the emails before sending using Never Bounce. So we have multiple internal checks, to put it simply, so that our emails don't land in spam. And yeah, folks, like the offer for customers as well as for other prospects, like we will stop accepting form responses within a couple of hours. So if you want to claim it, now is the time. And yeah, this is the tool we use for email outbound in case folks are curious into that as well. And we use Never Bounce to verify our emails. Any other question, folks? We still have 24 people who are currently live. So if you have something that you want to ask, feel free to shoot your shot. Otherwise, I guess,
I'll just add one more point on all the tools and the tech stack we use, right, for everyone is we've gradually built out this tech stack over the last couple of years and solved for different parts of the problem as we've needed to, right? So we've generally found that it's a lot easier. Keep it as manual as possible. When you hit a scale where you need to solve for, say, outbound emails, then yeah, get a tool like instantly. When you need to check for bounced emails, and get a tool for that, rather than trying to implement like 15 tools all at once. Then that
yeah.
is just a big uh, revenue operations load on your head, which just gets in the way. So solve for each bottleneck as and when it comes up has been a very good experience for us versus trying to implement a lot of tools all at once.
Yes, we A/B tested with connection request nodes and we found that no nodes performs way better for us. There's another point to this, like if you keep on adding your ICP audience on LinkedIn, so whenever you send a connection request, people are able to view the mutual connections as and that will gradually compound. So if you have more mutual connections, people are generally uh, more receptive towards accepting that request. And as far as the note is concerned, because if you have seen our first message that I broke down, anything under 300 characters, it literally looks like a sales pitch because we need some more room to make our point and explain the value that we are bringing. So that's why blank connection requests really work well for us. And we still would recommend, if you want to see, test it for yourself, use a LinkedIn automation tool or maybe do it manually and see if it's working for you or not.
I'll add another point here because I get a lot of inbound pitches from agencies, especially. Out of say 10 inbound connection requests I get, 9 with messages are all pitches. So the moment I see a message, I know it's a pitch. And I automatically am tuning it out. As a buyer, that's kind of how my muscle memory has been trained. So that's also another angle, right? One is that 300 characters is hopelessly inadequate to actually make a pitch. And the moment I see a message with a connection request, I know it's a pitch. So I'm tuning you out.
You are waiting to email the prospect until after. No. So to clarify, we email and LinkedIn cadence is separate. We generally send out emails first to prospects, and after 3 4 days, we reach out to them on LinkedIn. But we don't hold off on sending the email until and unless they have accepted our connection request. So I hope that clarifies your doubt. Great. All right, folks. I'll just wait for another 2 minutes to take any questions. Otherwise, I guess we are good here. And yeah, you will get the recording, the playbook, everything that we shared. Uh, just wait for 24 hours and it should hit your inbox. I also see one question, but I don't know if that person is still on the call. But that person asked, how will you recommend creating a database without Sales Navigator? So to answer, if you, so there are multiple tools. Sorry.
I did answer that.
Perfect.
If
Cool.
you're a dev tool that calls
Audience
the
feature.
audiences feature is the best bet on Dev itself.
Great.
But otherwise, yeah, there's a bunch of other tools like Apollo and Zoom Info. But for dev tools, you ideally should be building it based on tools that your prospects are using and not on how big the company is or how many people there are. And yeah, it's a fairly new feature that we've launched, which may be pretty interesting to check out.
Yeah. All right. I guess we are good to go then. All right, folks. Thank you for tuning in and for all the feedback. And yeah, we'll see you next time. I hope you join our next set of webinars as well. We have a lot in store for you. Thanks. Bye. Bye, Aditya.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for having us.